What's your first name?
Petal, like the flower petal.
Petal Roberts.
Yes, that's how you'll always remember it.
Okay. I think we're ready to go.
Okay.
Great.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Devorah Sirkin. I relocated to Montclair from Brooklyn, New York almost a year ago. I also have been commuting to Secaucus for work for over 3 years. I have been a lifelong public transit user. When choosing to relocate to New Jersey, access to public transportation was a key factor. Every morning, I walk to Walnut Street Station, just minutes up the road from here. I catch the train to Hoboken, make a quick transfer, and hop on a westbound train to Secaucus, which leaves me a few minutes from my office. When coworkers ask me when I plan on getting a car, I explain that I'm in no rush because it takes almost as long to drive, and I get to read or close my eyes while on the train. On the weekends, I take full advantage of New Jersey Transit buses, trains, and light rail to get around. As we all know, public transportation in our area is not perfect. I have been affected by delays, train cancellations, and most recently, the rerouting of Montclair trains for track work. That is why I'm glad to see the executive order that is being signed today by Governor Murphy. As someone who works in operations, I understand that collecting and studying data can accelerate positive change, and reporting that data strengthens accountability. As a committed New Jersey Transit rider, I look forward to future benefits to our statewide transit system. It is now my pleasure to introduce Governor Phil Murphy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're welcome to stand up with me, sit as you wish, right? Thank you very much, Devorah. Very happy we could do this event on August 19th at 1:30 in the afternoon. Oh, my Lord. Assemblyman, we got to get you a seat. All right, we got a seat for you. Come on in, Tom. Come across. You good? It's treat me well. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us here outside of Montclair's Bay Street Station. Thank you again, Devorah. Where'd you go? Right here. Devorah, thank you very much for your words. All of us here are committed to restoring NJ Transit as the nation's preeminent mass transit system. It is the experiences of commuters like yourself, on good days and bad, that are keeping us honest, focused, and on task. And you mentioned you moved from Brooklyn a year ago. That is a story that is told often in communities like Montclair. Folks come here because of the transit connections. They come here to educate their kids. They come here for the quality of life. And so it's an honor to be with you today. I am also joined and honored, and there are many of my fellow speakers today and VIPs are in the shade, as they should be. Transportation Commissioner and NJ Transit Board Chair Diane Gutierrez-Scacchetti, and NJ Transit President and CEO Kevin Corbett. You'll hear from them shortly. I also wish to acknowledge Senate Majority Leader Loretta Weinberg and Senate Transportation Committee Chairman Pat Dignan, and you will hear, where's Pat? Pat is over here. Lost you at the Pakistani American Day Parade yesterday. I apologize for that. You'll hear from each of the senators as well. We've also got a murderer's row of VIPs here. Assemblywoman Brittany Timberlake, thank you for everything you do. Assemblyman Tom Giblin, not just an assemblyman, a great leader in labor. Barry Kushner is in the House, another great labor leader in from Hudson County. Petal Robertson, who runs the teachers here in Montclair. Sean Spiller, councilman. The Mayor Bob Jackson's in the House. Freeholder Board President, dear friend Brendan Gill, who's in row 2, seat A. And to all of the VIPs, Ray Kenny, and a whole bunch of other folks from NJ Transit who are here today as well. In just a few minutes, I will sign an executive order requiring greater public transparency into the actual number of cancellations and delays that occur along NJ Transit, as well as their causes. Nearly 1,400 commuters pass through this station every day. Our goal is to get them to where they need to be safely and on time. Many times, NJ Transit and the agency's hardworking staff accomplishes that goal. But we also know that there are times when we are unable to do that. The people of New Jersey didn't elect me to shy away from a challenge. And let's be honest, there are few challenges in our state as big as the turnaround of NJ Transit. In January of 2018, when we came into office, NJ Transit was a mess. Under Governor Christie, NJ Transit had been systematically gutted, both financially and administratively. Its pool of engineers was allowed to dwindle to dangerously low numbers, leaving commuters stranded as train service became subject to the whims of weather, special events, and even simple vacations. Funding was cut by as much as 90%, that's 90%. Critical capital projects like federally mandated positive train control were ignored. As our region began to depend more and more on mass transportation, NJ Transit was underfunded and mismanaged. We are making up for NJ Transit's lost decade. It will not happen overnight. Something of this magnitude takes continued hard work and investment over time. But we are turning the corner. And as we continue to move forward, we owe ourselves and the hundreds of thousands of commuters who rely on this system day in and day out a true accounting of NJ Transit's performance in real time and with real information. We need to know whether we're moving in the right direction and where we need to work harder. Now, to be clear, this reporting will go far beyond the simple on-time metrics that the agency currently presents each month to the NJ Transit Board. That is a top lines report only, or top lines only report, one that ends up buried on NJ Transit's website. Under this executive order, starting with the release of October's statistics, NJ Transit will release on a monthly basis the total number of commuter rail cancellations that have occurred each month. Moreover, the first report, which is why it's going to take us a couple of months to get this up and running, will include a month-by-month look back all the way back to the beginning of 2017. So as we move forward, each month's numbers can be put in context alongside those from previous years. This will be a complete and accurate count of cancellations caused by NJ Transit infrastructure, including equipment, mechanical failure, and signal issues, cancellations caused by manpower shortages, cancellations caused by weather, trespasser, or similarly unpreventable incidents, cancellations due to Amtrak-related issues, and finally, cancellations that are the result of carryover from prolonged network delays. This information will be made easily and widely available via njtransit.com. And while statistics on commuter rail will be the first to be released, NJ Transit will also release, as soon as it is practicable, information on bus, light rail, and access link services. There is certainly no lacking of opinions as it relates to NJ Transit. What has been lacking has been the single point of facts that can be used to help us better form or even change opinions for good or for bad. Since the first day of this administration, getting NJ Transit back to where we know it must be has been among our very highest priorities. Over 2 years, we've increased state support by 225%, making up for the prior administration's defunding, as I mentioned earlier, at one point as much as 90% down. We defied odds makers and naysayers who said we'd never meet the initial December 2018 federal positive train control deadline. We saw the first of six classes of new engineers complete their classroom training, making up for the prior administration's negligence that left the system woefully understaffed and which directly led to train cancellations. We've streamlined NJ Transit's management and wholly reformed its operational practices to make it more customer-oriented, more efficient, more responsive, and less bureaucratic. Despite these advances, and there have been many, we know that we're not there yet. New Jersey's commuters deserve a world-class mass transit agency, and that's what we are going to deliver. We all take very seriously the concerns and complaints of riders and the very real impacts that cancellations and delays have on their faith in this system to get them to work and back home again, or to other appointments and events on time and without headache. But we also take pride in the many, many residents this system and these dedicated employees get to and from work safely and on time. With this executive order in place, we will have a better basis from which to gauge our work. And we're hoping to see these metrics tell the definitive story of NJ Transit's turnaround. Commuters will be able to look at the same data we do and become more engaged partners in this system's future. With that, I would now like to introduce the chair of NJ Transit's board, the Commissioner of Transportation, Diane Gutierrez Scacchetti. Do you want this or not?
No.
Okay,
I'm
good.
good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Governor, and thank you to the New Jersey Transit staff, the town of Montclair, and Essex County for welcoming us today to the Bay Street station. Metrics are a part of our everyday life. We have measured our progress in a variety of endeavors: grades in school, averages in sports, strength of our financial investments, to name a few. And the New Jersey Transit system should not be an exception to this practice. Metrics are essential to understanding our pathway to success, and they provide the objective data that we need to help us develop a strong financial strategic plan that leads to better performance. Metrics shine a light on both the strengths and the weaknesses that guide us, as well as balance our attention in addressing underperforming system assets. One might ask, why an executive order? The data is readily available today, why not just use it? To me, the reason is perfectly clear. The executive order is just that, a directive to the agency for transparency, accountability, and candor. But more than that, it memorializes from today forward, and most importantly for administrations to come, the importance of maintaining the public's confidence in the daily operation of New Jersey Transit and the investments that we make in our system through, I will call, the generosity and certainly continued support of the New Jersey legislature and the governor in the budget that they just passed. Governor, we thank you for your leadership. Again, putting these metrics out is an indication of our confidence in the system, and we look forward to that first report in October, and certainly the questions and dialogue that will come from that. Thank
Great.
you.
Well done. Thank you. I meant to mention when I referenced that Sean Spiller was a councilman, he's also a fellow educator and one of the leaders of NJEA. So Sean, great to have you for all the above reasons. Please now help me welcome the guy who runs NJ Transit day in and day out. It's CEO Kevin Corbett. Kevin? Are you CEO now?
Yeah. Thank you, Governor, and certainly to my chair, Diane. Thank you very much. I think as the governor touched on, when I first came here, it's like turning around a battleship, and I looked at how hollowed out and severely neglected the organization was. We had obviously severe shortage in critical positions such as locomotive engineers, bus operators, similar shortage in the management ranks. A lot of the management had left demotivated. Positive train controls, the governor reference was adjusted 12% complete in March, and yet we had to get to 100% by the end of the year. The morale for taking on that challenge could not have been worse. And taking that on was a great first step of being able to show what this agency could do. And I think the customers, with rail cars and locomotives, we're constantly getting complaints. We have engines and locomotives that are nearly as old as I am, 40, 50-year-old engines.
Nothing's that old.
Yeah, nothing yet, not quite. And all that led to the customers not getting the service they expected and deserved. We certainly wasted no time in aggressively addressing these areas. And I think although it's maybe early fruits, we are beginning to see results largely through the better management that we touched on. January through July, although train cancellations are always painful to anyone, they're down 28% compared to the same period last year. And they're down 47%, and on-time performance is up over the last 4 weeks of this year versus last year. In fact, this weekend's on-time performance, Saturday was 98.5%, and Sunday was 97.2%. Even though midsummer is historically our most challenging time with delays and cancellations. The governor said, to be clear, we are far from satisfied and still far from where we need to be. But those above improvements, even this summer, are an indication of what we can do with the right people and resources. And we certainly are not going to be slowing down. As a train rider myself for more than 20 years, I know that even one cancellation, the effect it has on our customers and their families if it happens to be your train. The important thing is the trend is starting to move in the right direction. I think I'd like to touch on what we've done, what we've done and where we're going. I think first we, as you know, our aggressive recruiting. We have 6 concurrent locomotive engineer class. Remember, every engineer does a minimum of 4 train trips. So we have 6 concurrent classes, 1 which just graduated, and 3 more expected over the next 5 months. Since the beginning of 2018, we've hired and trained more than 500 bus operators. In all, we've hired more than 1,700 union and non-union employees in the last 18 months, out of an entire workforce of slightly less than 12,000. On the equipment side, of course, that's important that we can deliver. We need the right equipment, and we also wasted no time in working on investing in new dual-low locomotives, multi-level rail cars, and buses. And we're also moving forward to get ahead of the curve with the electric bus pilot program in Camden, New Jersey, with 8 electric buses, where we can really study the benefits and the challenges in a real-world condition of that technology. I'd say, we talk about PTC being complete and how proud we were to get it done by the end of 2018, but over the last 8 months, we've been aggressively testing and including, in cooperation with Amtrak on the critical Northeast Corridor, the actual implementation of positive train control. Much still needs to be done before December 20th deadline, and we will be in revenue testing starting the end of this year and testing a very complex system of interoperability with Conrail, Metro North Railroad, Norfolk Southern, in addition to Amtrak. Although this is largely invisible to the writing public, it will require great resources, including engineers and equipment. One other thing that I found that was really disconcerting when arriving was we had no 5-year capital plan. For a business, it's one of the most fundamental things, and there was a feeling, why ask? Because we asked, we're not going to get it anyway. One of the first things I did was to get a baseline assessment to do all our facilities, rail, bus, depots, right-of-ways, catenary, et cetera, to really look at what we need to invest over a 5-year period, make a comprehensive 5-year capital plan. Under our new chief engineer, Rich Schaefer, and his team, we are well along in that and expect to be rolling out that 5-year capital plan in March, April of next year. We've also, meanwhile, not wasted time, though, in accelerating long-stalled projects that total more than $1 billion. Certainly the Portal North Bridge and the Raritan River Bridge are two well-known to those certainly in the contracting industry. Long Slip Fill and Rail Enhancement Project in Hoboken, a key resiliency project, and the County Yard and Delco Lead Project up in New Brunswick, just south of New Brunswick, is important for being able to store all the rail cars when there's storms and be able to get them right back in service. That again was done in cooperation with Amtrak, a relationship that was sorely tested when I arrived. And then we have the construction that is going underway on the new Elizabeth Station. So going forward, where we go from here, I think the first, as I've often said, is first we had to stabilize the system, stabilize the patient, and set the foundation. I believe most riders understand that a transformation couldn't be accomplished overnight. Like turning around a battleship in the middle of the ocean, the ship is beginning to turn, and for those of us who are at New Jersey Transit, we are very excited to finally be able to see it and start being able to demonstrate that. We have put in place an exceptional professional management team empowered by the resources to carry out the mission. Incremental improvements may not be felt by all, but the data is showing the trend line moving in the right direction. Thanks to continued commitment from Governor Murphy and the legislature in our fiscal 2020 budget, we're moving from crisis management to strategic management. In the next 3 months, 2 more locomotive engineer classes will graduate. Weekday period Midtown direct service on the Montclair Boonton line resumes here on September 9th, focusing attention on the restoration of service for our other rail lines like the RVL, Raritan Valley Line, off-peak once you ride to New York will begin shortly after. Brand new version of the New Jersey Transit mobile app, which many of you I hope use. We have the new version that's coming out that will make it easier to navigate, purchase tickets, and to access information, including the information that we'll be reporting as a result of the executive order. In addition, we'll be also putting out to Lyndhurst Station reconstruction bid for 2 new high-level platforms to facilitate an access and ADA compliance. And of course, we'll be submitting next month a revised financial plan for the Portal North Bridge. I'm confident that plan satisfies the FTA's requirements, and we eagerly await the approval to move this critical shovel-ready project forward. Going beyond the next 3 months, over the next 6 months, there'll be another class of engineers graduating in January, and in early to mid-2020, we'll begin to take delivery of 17 new dual-mode locomotives, which will improve service reliability. That at the same time, in the next few months, we also expect to be able to advertise for the Raritan River Drawbridge replacement, a $595 million resiliency project on the coastline. Going more to the beyond 9 months, where we start looking a little longer out, we'll have 3 more engineer classes graduating by the end of 2020. The pipeline thus being full to maintain a sufficient roster, never again allowing the occurrence of the annulments that we saw and inherited from the previous administration. Through 2020, we'll also be adding 100 on the bus side, 183 new cruiser buses and 85 new articulated buses. If you think about that, on average, that means we're taking a delivery of a bus between every other day, one day to every other day. That translates to nearly 2,000 more passenger seats each weekday, or 500,000 additional passenger seat trips per year, improving current service and meeting the demands of increasing ridership. I think many of you have seen the posters that we've ordered 113 new multi-level rail cars, 2x2 seating that everyone loves, those be replacing the 40-year-old Aero cars that are famous for kids like to bounce up and down on the seat but aren't so great for those who have to commute on a daily basis. And in a practical, what that means is the old Aero 3 cars, they have a mean distance of between fares, which is the industry term of unscheduled service improvements. It needs to be called in for repairs. And those average about 40,000 miles each time to be brought in for repairs. By contrast, multi-levels are 400,000 miles between calls, and that's 10 times the number. To think of that, what that means as far as trains being able not had to be pulled out of service, what that's going to mean to reliability. But those take longer to manufacture, so we'll be taking delivery of those in early 2023. Planning is also on the way for the release in the second quarter next year of the Perth Amboy station, which will also include high-level platforms and elevators and platforms to improve customer service. There are many other projects that go on, but the bottom line is, what does this mean to our customers? The most important thing for our customers is reliable, on-time performance. All those things I mentioned build into that, but that is our goal, and we are not afraid to take on that challenge. And certainly, we cannot achieve it without sufficient staffing levels, without the right management team, and a solid strategic vision and plan for implementation. We need the modern fleet and a proper investment in our right-of-way, signal systems, catenary, and power supply. That's the path we're on, and that's why we're investing so much in our people and infrastructure. We will get there incrementally, but we want to be held accountable for all of it. And that's why we're here today, make our performance metrics as easily accessible and transparent as we can. It truly is an exciting time at New Jersey Transit for those of us on the inside as we start to rebuild our entire team and they get a chance to show what we are really capable of doing when given the chance and the resources. So once again, Governor, Diane, thanks so much for your support in getting to this point.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
That's my stage
That's your
signal.
cue right here. Please help me welcome Senate Majority Leader Loretta Weinberg.
Thank you. So that's my stage signal, the step stool. Good afternoon, everyone. Governor Murphy, legislative colleagues, freeholders, heads of New Jersey Transit, thank you very much for calling us together. Kevin, I want a copy of your speech because I plan to put it on the wall and be able to check off the tasks that you have. That's so then I can sign the report card at the end as the parent in the room. So thank you very much. This is a great step forward, and as the governor said, they and we inherited, after 8 years of the Christie administration, an underfunded, understaffed, and I would add to the list, millions of dollars paid out in sexual harassment suits. So there was a lot to improve here, and I know Kevin has used the idea it's like turning around a battleship, and indeed it is. I am glad to see this step forward. Transparency, bringing the public into what to expect, I think is a good portion of the battle. I have spent the last couple of years, more than that, since 2013, hopefully speaking up on behalf of the commuters that are forced to put up with all of the indignities of a inappropriate New Jersey Transit that existed those 8 years and that we are trying to turn around today. It is about quality of life for 900,000 New Jerseyans who each and every day take public transportation in our state. I think under the leadership of this governor and our transportation commissioner and NJ Transit executive director, we are seeing the beginning of the turning around of the battleship. I will be there every step of the way, checking off those issues that you raised. See, I just got a second from the train engineer. And this is so important. And I know the governor campaigned on this. I know he knows how important it is to our residents. So this is just a step forward. We still have a long way to go. And as Kevin said, I have asked them to update us at least every 3 months, update us and the public. What can we do in the next 3 days? What can we do in the next 3 months? And what will take us 3 years to accomplish? So thank you all for being here, and thank you, Governor Murphy, for giving the kind of leadership we need to spur this onward and to keep reminding all of us that this is really an emergency. Thank you.
Senator. Right.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. As always, I reached out to a guy who's not here today, the chair of the Assembly Transportation Committee. He wanted to be here. He couldn't, Dan Benson, so I told him I'd give him a shout out in absentia. He's done some great work on this whole frontier, as has the chair of the Senate Transportation Committee. Please help me welcome Senator and friend Pat Dyken. You good?
I'm a baseball fan. I'm batting fifth. And I'm following 4 All-Stars, and I really mean that. If you go around this state right now, this state is booming, absolutely booming. I represent Metuchen, Edison Township. What do these towns, what is Montclair? Look at the vitality in Montclair. Asbury Park, Morristown, Somerville. Had dinner, my wife and I, at Somerville. 15 years ago, Somerville was a challenge city. Now it is absolutely booming. What's the one thing they all have in common? What's behind us? And for the governor and the commissioner and the director and our majority leader to put this in the spotlight and make it a priority says a lot about our state and the leadership of our state. And I'm just proud to be part of it. And again, as they say, you can make up positions, but you can't make up facts. By the team here saying that they want the riding public to know the true facts, that says we're on the right course. And I'm here to help when I can. I cannot say how much respect I have for the leadership team, and the legislature will be there when you need us. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate that. We'll take a couple of questions before I sign, but before I do, 2 quick points. One of which we've been in and around. Several of us, both senators, and I think the NJ Transit team and myself, is there are many magnets that keep families and businesses here and or attract families and businesses to come here, or individuals like Devora who came here. And I think the 2 principal ones that you see us pull every day are public education and public transportation. The extent to which we can remain the top couple of school systems in America, and the extent to which NJ Transit can reclaim its place, rightful place, and it will, among the top couple of mass transit systems in America, that those accomplishments will go a long way toward the security, prosperity, and strength of the future of the state. Secondly, I have to give credit to the NJ Transit team for something we haven't talked about, and that is courage. Because as of October, these numbers are going live, good, bad, and ugly. And Senator Weinberg alluded to the fact that you're going to have I know you will from her, but you will from everybody now, a virtual report card. And so on the one hand, I applaud your courage, and Ray and your whole team and the bus side of the house, and our brothers and sisters in labor who make the show go, who never faltered, even through all the lean years at NJ Transit, right? Barry, you know that. But on the other side of it, I feel like, you know what? They're not crazy. They wouldn't be doing this unless they felt like they had something going in the right direction. So here's hoping that you're right. So thank you all very much. A couple of quick questions before people expire. Nikita. So to the best of my understanding of the article, I don't know if you wrote it or one of your colleagues wrote it, I think it's interpreting something that was put out last year. To the best of my knowledge, it's possible the Secretary of State and her team have had an exchange with a particular county, and I'm not aware of that, but that's a potential reason for that being triggered. But to the best of my knowledge, there's no new blanket guidance. Having said that, the principle of opening up democracy, as we did dramatically with that step last year on vote by mail, you should assume will continue to be a theme, whether it's vote by mail or how folks can register, or the whole breadth of opening up democracy. Please. Sorry. The legislative intent of the vote by mail? I think in harmony to open up democracy. And it's one step, and again, we were all very happy that we were headed in the right direction, but it's one step of many more that we need to take. It created some confusion in certain counties, which I think our folks have been, the Secretary of State and her team, have been trying to clean up. Please. I mean, the answer at the end of the day is I think anybody who is a professional in the ranks in running NJ Transit or any state organization have to perform. And I think these folks all know that. They come into this with their eyes wide open. I look at Kevin and Ray to pick two folks who have had decades of experience, not necessarily in that NJ Transit, more broadly. Diane has run big systems. I'm also in the subject to a similar standard. You got to perform. And we have the team in place that we are confident will perform. In fact, they are performing. And again, that's not, if folks are frustrated that we're not batting 1,000 and it's their train that's later canceled, I don't blame them. I am too. And we're not going to rest until we bat 1,000. But we think we've got the right team in place. I think they're showing that, and they'll continue to show it. Michael, forgive me if you had your hand up. Okay. Give me this one because it's on topic, right? Yeah, I'll ask Kevin and Diane to come on up. How far along are we at NJ Transit to spiking the football? I'll come on down, and you all should. It will be brief because it's 1,000 degrees out. But I think the combination of the right management, achieving the safety, the federal safety requirements, 6 engineering classes, and the right funding, that combination, if I didn't say funding, management, safety, funding, engineers, we will begin to see the fruits of that much more meaningfully day in and day out.
I don't know. I'd say that, Michael, if you looked at it, we're almost to halftime. Is that fair, generally? Right? We're 18, 19 months in.
I hope not.
Well, halftime of the first round, right? First game. But I think, for us, the marching bands have been out. I know you're listening. I don't think the way he does. That's my issue, right? I'm thinking transportation. For me, I think that at the end of the day, we're close to halftime. I think you're going to see at the beginning of next year things start to ramp up and start to see real tangible improvement. Just about.
Diane and I are the two that get to spike the football.
We don't. Are we going to spike it? So I think that look, this is it. The one thing that I think I've learned is if in the transit side of the house, it's a long lead time type of process. Just because everything takes a long time to get equipment, takes a long time to train people. We've been at it. Kevin has quietly been marching forward with engineering classes, with looking at bus operators. When you look at our hiring statistics, everything is up from certainly where it was. But at the end of the day, I'd say we are at halftime, and we're hoping to come out strong for a strong second half and a strong finish.
Big third quarter ahead. Michael. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Do you think the state has the resources to supply water for what could be a month of testing?
The answer is the state does have those resources. I'm not sure it will take a month. So I think we have to this is iterative. This is literally every morning I wake up, every night when I go to bed, and about 5 times in between I have conversations. It's iterative. Our DEP commissioner met with the head of the EPA on Thursday. I think it was a frank and constructive conversation. They've been very good at the professional level on the testing. Too early to tell on the time frame, but the answer is we have the resources. We don't have unending resources, but we certainly have the resources within that time frame. But I would caution everybody, the time frame is not yet clear, at least to me. Please.
Governor, a quick off-topic question, if I may. Have you filed anything in court, sir, in response to Assemblyman Robert Haas sponsoring Assembly Bill 5469, making it a crime to coerce a patient to request life-ending drugs?
Is this the death with dignity bill that I signed?
Yes,
Yes, we are defending our position and challenging it. One of the most difficult bills for me to sign, particularly given the way I was brought up. But it's the right thing to do, folks, with the proper safeguards, and there are many belts and suspenders and safeguards in this. It should be the decision of loved ones and not a law that dictates how ones can end their life. Matt, my pleasure.
Can you put a finer point on the time frame in Newark? Because the mayor said that it was at least a month. You're
Yeah.
saying it was probably less than a month.
I don't know. I'm not saying that, Matt. I actually don't know. I'm saying I literally don't know. I know the mayor and I were on WBLS yesterday. The world's best looking sound, by the way, if you want to know what those letters stand for. And I know he said a month. I would just say I don't. This is very iterative, so this is to be determined how long.
Could it be more than a month?
I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, we're not letting any grass grow. So, anybody else? Before I give you one more, but I'm conscious of anybody else who's going. Nikita, one more. On civility, I was struck by that. I'm sure Senator Weinberg would have a view. Yeah, I wish him nothing but the very best. I hope I'm one of his speakers at some point. With that, I'm going to sign the executive order. Again, I want to thank all the VIPs who showed up. Thank you very much, and Bob, for hosting us in particular, and Team Montclair, Assemblyman, Assemblywoman, Freeholder, President, Majority Leader, Senator, Chair, CEO, and the rest of the team. Come on over and we'll sign this.
Yep,
Sorry. There.
What are we doing?
We have 3 birthdays in a row this week. So this is executive order number 80. And so you all know what it's about, so I won't waste any time. Money shot here. I can't see a thing. I'll now put my glasses on. Lord. Devora Serkin. Devora, are you with us? Devora, come on down.
You get the first pen.
Okay, come on in. You get pen number 1. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for having faith in the system. Commissioner and Board Chair Diane Gutierrez-Scacchetti. Diane, congratulations. Thank you. Keep it up. I said congratulations. I should be saying best of luck. Great job so far. CEO Kevin Corbett. Keep it up. Yeah, I got no data on it. Exactly. Senate Majority Leader Loretta Weinberg to my right. Senator, bless you. Senator and Chair Pat Dignan. Pat, well done, buddy. Did you march yesterday, the whole parade? Concerned we were going to have casualties.
I would have been in the intensive care unit. Yeah.
Assemblywoman Brittany Timberlake. Brittany, God bless you. Our host mayor today, Mayor Bob Jackson. Mayor?
Thank you, Governor.
Thanks, buddy. God bless you on behalf of the whole Montclair team. Assemblyman Tom Giblin. Love you. God bless you. I love you. It's great having you. And last but not least, Freeholder President Brendan Gill. Brendan, where are you?
Thank you, Governor. Congratulations. Thank you.
So with that, Executive Order number 80 is in the books.
Thank you, Governor.
Stay tuned. Thank you all.
Here, here.
Everybody, please go directly to air-conditioned.
Mayor.
That'll great to
Robert.
meet you.
Mayor, we get a picture.
Take care. Be well. Stay cool. I've got, right. I've got, it's not sun as much as I've got over the years it's damaged. And so I've got some stuff that I don't even know what it's called.
Thank you for taking my off-topic question, Governor. I appreciate it.
Next picture. Thank you, sir. Yep. Guys, I should have given you a shout out here. Good afternoon. Let me come behind you, Tuttle, because I'm Jackson and Spiller.